No.
A land of ancient civilization, Egypt holds in it the most bizarre, terrifying, and peculiar creatures. Some are remains of the dead, others still out there trying to scare humans with their frightening features. Sit tight to see these mind-boggling things caught on camera. Tied mummy. An ancient criminal? Or proof of classic cruelty from our ancestors' time? Well, in truth, it's none of these. Found in a 1.8-meter deep pit, the body of a man believed to be in his mid-age was strangely tied and was buried 1,800 years ago in this burial chamber. But with his hand covering the face and whole body being tied with ropes, the mummy is not a victim, but actually it was a part of their custom that was practiced around hundreds of years ago. Yes, researchers believe that the whole binding process may have been some kind of ritual, practiced to preserve the bodies forever. Croc mummies. Either dead or alive, crocs will always scare humans to their cores. While digging the ancient tombs, the research workers found 12 crocs buried in the soil. Looking alive from afar, it felt like they might open their jaws at any moment, because their textured skin still looked fresh and the teeth were still intact within the jaws. The researchers were stunned when they got to know that the crocodiles had been buried 2,500 years prior, because how could something this old be in almost its original condition? Well, actually, they were preserved with a particular method which excluded wrappings and resin, which helped them keep their original condition. Abandoned alien. Strolling in the desert is an alien creature. Though it has a humanoid body with its extremely long limbs, thin skin, and the way it is walking with a stooped posture, it sure gives some eerie vibes to the onlookers. Because of the blurry video, some say that it is a chupacabra walking in the deserts and planning an attack on the livestock. A majority of the people believe that because it is found in a deserted area, it could be a mummy that decided to come alive after spending centuries in the coffin. Because how else could anyone explain the slim body of the weirdo walking in the middle of the day? Deserted whales. While we believe that fish and deserts are two parallel things, researchers in Egypt found whale carcasses right in the desert lands, and not just one or two. The desert was filled with bones, skulls, and huge carcasses of whales. In fact, these bones were so abundant in the land that it was given the name of Whale Valley. While folks were baffled, how could it be possible? According to investigators, it may be possible that in ancient ages, it was a result of a mass beaching, in which the whales and dolphins willingly strand themselves on land and die. And when the ocean moved further away, they may have been buried in the sand. Ancient skeleton. Not even a meter long, the tiniest skeleton to ever be found continues to shock researchers with its mind-blowing feature. At first, they were stunned to see that such a tiny creature existed in old times. Secondly, they determined it was not a creature, but a tiny human. Yes, it's true. This skeleton named Atta is actually a human, but with multiple bone-related mutations. The long skull and slanted eyes did not indicate a single mutation, but Atta was born with plenty of them present in his genes. Some in the bones, others in the ribs, and others in joints, which is the reason behind his teeny tiny size and lesser ribs. Only 10, where normally there are 12. Mysterious statue. Standing in an Egyptian museum is this eerie statue, containing a perfectly carved body with its eyes resembling a human and always observing the people. The statue, being 4,500 years old and being held in the Museum of Cairo, is considered a wonder of ancient art. The statue has a perfectly plastered and painted outermost layer, but the most striking feature of the statue is no doubt its eyes. Made with sycamore wood, the fact that they are still present in almost their original form is quite impressive, as the researchers are trying to figure out the secret ingredient used to keep it so long-lasting. Bursting pool. Right in the middle of the desert, there's lava popping out, and it looks like it's about to explode on the onlookers' faces. But what is it? This question has been baffling people for so long. Some said it was the pit of the Sarlacc, a beast believed to be living beneath the desert sands. The others called it a desert monster coming out of its hiding place. But in reality, it's actually neither of these, as it was a small reserve of oil found in the middle of Egypt's desert, and due to extreme heat, the oil looked like it was about to burst out of the small hole. Sleeping girl. Looking like a sleeping child, the girl shocked the archaeologists when it was caught, because it felt like the girl would open its eyes at any moment. But actually, she had been dead for about 1,200 years, and was perfectly preserved, which muddled the researcher too. But her history is even more baffling. The girl was a teenager when she was sacrificed as a common religious practice of that time. Found in her hair were the signs of consuming alcohol and cocoa, which were given to her as a way to persuade her for the sacrifice, which actually means that she was drugged before the ritual took place. Concealed toads. Preserving the least expected things. The old customs are nothing but a mystery for the present world. Just like this, when a man, while digging an ancient tomb, unearthed a jar. While the other jars used to be filled with the organs of humans that died hundreds of years ago, this one was filled with 8 mummified toads. Yeah, toads, about 4,000 years old. And when they investigated them even further, the archaeologists were shocked to see that all 8 toads were decapitated before being preserved in the jar. But nobody knows what the purpose of preserving toads was. Were they considered holy in the past world? Or is there some mystery in it we cannot ever unveil? Preserved victim. While preservation of the old elite people is something we're used to, a preserved murder victim was something new even for the archaeologists. Not manually buried, but being dumped in a peat bog, the corpse was naturally preserved. Meet the 2,400-year-old corpse, known as the Tulland Man. Found deep in a bog with its neck tied with rope, the researchers were able to determine that the corpse had been hung. For what purpose, no one knows. But one thing there is the last meal he had eaten before he was put to death, which turned out to be porridge and some fish. Exposed grave. Not a mummy, but a man's camera caught a bizarre scene from a cemetery. He spotted a half-open grave in the middle of the cemetery, and taking a closer look, the man's camera recorded the skeleton of a human, probably 1.8 meters tall, lying inside. Not knowing how the grave opened, the guy went a little inside, and he was shocked to see some more skulls placed on the grave's corner. And that was not it, as human legs and some other body parts were also present inside it, which definitely didn't belong to the single person. So what was going on here? Let me know what you think. Mummified Queen. With her veins still red, skin still tough, the lady, known as the Queen of Mummification, is said to be the wealthiest woman of her time. Sleeping along with the valuables that were placed inside her tomb, she showed the signs of wealth and prosperity, and the researchers assumed that this might be the reason behind the exemplary preservation of the lady, because even after being dead for hundreds of years, her joints were still flexible, even though her eyelash and nose hair were still intact, and it looked like a corpse of a recently deceased person, rather than someone who had died centuries ago. Dino people. If you used to believe that humans came following the dinosaurs' extinction, then get ready to be proven wrong. As buried underneath a tomb, scientists discovered something strange yet fascinating. They unearthed hundreds of figurines containing the figure of humans and dinosaurs, and both of them along with each other. And even some of them showed people riding the dinosaurs, which potentially proves that there might have been some time in the ancient eras where both of these creatures used to live together, but probably for a very short period of time, that no signs other than these thousands-of-year-old figurines were found. Gold mummies. This is the Valley of the Gold Mummies. where multiple people are taking their eternal sleep, covered in gold. Containing a rich culture filled with distinct traditions, Egyptians highly impacted their surroundings, just like the Romans, who, when invading Egypt, adopted the process of mummification, and that in gold, obsessed with the idea of gold. The Egyptians used to believe that the gods were made up of gold, so when their kings died, they used to cover their bodies in gold-plated coffins, and sometimes even cover their faces with gold so that they could become a divine being in the afterlife. Sewer Monster. While exploring the ancient caves, a group of explorers decided to go a little further inside it, in search of some old treasures that might be hidden there. When not being able to locate anything, the group decided to head back towards their car. But it turned out someone really didn't want them to go back, as when heading back, one of the boys heard something coming from an ancient drainage system a little distant from the caves. And there it was, a strange creature, a cryptid, that even though locked in the bars, was trying all of its efforts to come out and catch the group.
Okay.
But luckily, the group made it out unharmed. Unicorn remains. While many of us believe that unicorns belong to the fictional world and don't belong to our world, a man's camera caught the unexpected, a unicorn skull half buried in the sand. And when it was brought to the researchers, they revealed something that might disappoint you, as these ancient unicorns are nothing like we expected them to be, and are more recent than the humans had assumed. Because in reality, the unicorns did not resemble the horses, but actually were something quite like rhinos, with a single horn over its head, that roamed the earth about 29,000 years ago. Coffins of Saqqara. Found inside the tomb of Saqqara are buried the rarest and the most fascinating coffins. An archaeologist was shocked when he accidentally found a chamber of huge figurines that were buried there about 2,000 years ago. And when they went inside, the archaeologist was surprised to see hundreds of them placed inside the chamber. And not alone, they were placed along with gilded masks and falcons, and a lot of other antique things that showed signs of wealth, as no ordinary people were inside those coffins. Some of them were kings and queens of the 2,000-year-old world, and that proves that Saqqara was once a land of great importance. Egyptian Witch. A man decided to visit a cave to see the ancient witch that is believed to be living there. At first, he was disappointed to have not spotted anything, but on his way back, he was shocked to see a creature sitting on the abandoned side of the mountain. The creature, or must I say the womanly beast wearing black clothes, had a strange appearance. Holding a stick made of animal skull, the cryptid's face was all covered. Furious for being followed by the man, the witch went inside, and even from a distance, it was clear that she was casting some sort of spell. Clearly for this reason, as she didn't want the boy to leave there alive. Lady Rye. A perfect example of embalming for the archaeologists. This is Lady Rye, discovered in 1881. She is believed to have died at 40 years of age, and is usually referred to as the oldest mummy which has ever been found. But other than being the oldest lady, Rye's body holds so many fascinating features. Her body was at first covered in linen clothing, and then for preservation, the people had used a mixture of resin and sand, which had helped in keeping the corpse intact. And her CT scan revealed that she had been suffering from atherosclerosis, which led to her death, a disease quite common in people from that age. Gowned Man. Why is it always that in the darkest of nights, people decide to explore the creepiest of places? Well, there, right there, stands the answer to our question. While visiting the ancient detention center that was actually built to imprison the old criminals, hearing some weird voices, the visitors were sure that there was something strange going on in there. But, well, whatever it was, didn't give the people any time to react, as it popped right in front of them. Wearing a long white gown, because the video cuts right there, nothing much is known of the eerie gowned man. But what do you think it actually was? Mystery creature. When caught on camera, a mysterious creature with a pale color was caught walking on an empty road at night. It was about 2 meters tall and was walking while scooching over. It had a human head, but relatively skinny body. And as soon as the video went viral, it started a debate among the paranormal enthusiasts. Some say it is a hoax, while others believe the video shows they have spotted similar things around their houses. But because the exact location of the creature was not known, nothing much about it was revealed. So, was it a ghost, a mummy, or an alien caught wandering? Cave ghost. Feeling that something is not right with the place, the man started recording to get proof of what he was seeing. It was wearing a white cape-like clothing and kept encountering the man, probably signaling him to go back. And there it was, a little far, but a creature with no legs and presumably no bones was caught at an abandoned place and strolling there for some time. The ghost-like creature went straight into the wall and disappeared. Because the video cuts there, not much is known about the creature. But do let me know what you think of this flying ghost. Seti the Mummy. Lying in the National Museum of Egypt, Seti's mummy has gained much importance for the last few years, as researchers have found something that has been keeping the mummy intact for years. Other than being usually packed and mummified like the rest, it looks like the ancient Egyptians used to be quite advanced in plastic surgery, as they have applied filters on the cheekbones and even on the head. That's how, even after being decapitated by some robbers 3,000 years ago, the mummy, covered in lots of clothing, still lies in the museum, as fresh as it can be. Inside the pyramids. Compared to our little knowledge, there are way more mysteries that the pyramids contain. Just like this beauty. Well, she's the beauty of the mummy's world. Officials said that when they discovered her and opened her coffin, she was wearing a gold crown on her head and jewelry as well. And because the lady was not identified, the fact that she was buried in an elite place and gold finery was buried along her determines the rank she belonged to. But there was something strangely unique in her, as the lady was not buried with her original eyes, but they had been replaced by wooden eyes that were carved exactly like real ones. Miniature coffins. While digging up a tomb of an ancient king in Egypt, the archaeologists came across the tiniest coffins, and inside them laid the tiniest mummies of stillborn babies of the king. Though the scientists know that such mutations and stillbirths were common in the ancient world, they were still investigating the fact that these two baby girls were born along with their father. But it was after some time they got to know that being buried along with girls was considered a luck charm, as the ancient people used to believe the girls and women as their protectors that would guide them in their afterlives. Oldest mummy. This 300-year-old mummy was found in the year 2020 and was believed to be something out of this world. Though the corpse was not present in its original form and was distorted from several parts, the researchers consider it a present from the past. The corpse was male with a height of 1.5 meters, covered in several pieces of clothes that were strongly tied with the corpse. The inside of the body looked like it was cremated before burial, but not just a single dead body, but several cremated parts of human bodies were also placed inside the coffin, which made the discovery even more suspicious. Underwater mysteries. Hiding underneath the water, the recent finds in an Egyptian city are not something you would see every day, as they belong to different parts of history. At one side of the Mediterranean Sea, archaeologists found the remains of a 2,200-year-old shipwreck that was struck by the giant blocks of a large temple from the city that had already sunk in the water before. And on the other side, they have also found an ancient burial ground from where different kinds of decorated pottery and gold amulets under the water were believed to be 2,400 years old. An archaeologist, while exploring the Great Pyramids of Egypt, had this strange experience. While going down through a wooden ladder, the man felt a strange movement deep down, so he paused there for a while. And there it was, a wild creature resembling a wolf and containing Satan horns on his head was approaching the archaeologists. Unable to identify it, he quickly ran towards the top, leaving the beast far behind in the tunnel. Though nothing much was revealed by them, it's believed that the tunnel was later filled with mud to secure the researchers from any danger. Let me know what you think of this strange discovery. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again!